Welcome to episode 49 of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. One episode away from number 50. Before we get started here and see who's joining us today and what we're going to be talking about, um, be excited for next week. Next Friday at 3 p.m. We have probably will end up being our longest and biggest episode. We have two guests coming on the show. One will be an interview. One will just be a guy talking about the NHL Finals with us. We are hoping to make it as entertaining of an episode as possible. So hope you guys are looking forward to that. Without further ado, I'll introduce who's on. Brandon. He's just me and B-Well tonight. Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent. I'm looking forward to next week. I think next week will be pretty fun and entertaining.
Definitely. I'm
But we'll try
excited.
and keep this one as entertaining as we can to get you guys ready for next week. So to start it off, we're just going to talk about some quick news around the sports world, sort of some trades possibility in the NBAs, and then some contracts that have happened in the NFL. We'll then move on to the NBA Finals and some NHL season wrap ups for the Edmonton Oilers, talk about Colorado a little bit, and then finish off with the Rangers Tampa series. And then we'll do a quick little mini game at the end.
Perfect.
And I guess you also have a Hall of Fame or not segment as well.
Yeah, I have that. I'm gonna throw in as your Wi-Fi is being extra bad today. Your words are coming out before your voice, like your mouth is late.
Well,
Your
this will be
video's a bit.
entertaining.
Oh, you're back now.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, you're good. You're good now. Maybe just to start there.
Probably.
All right, lead us in there, Brando.
Okay, so I think we'll just start off talking about it's sort of sports news. We're just kind of keeping it to the LA Rams. They signed both their big boys. I think we kind of assumed the Cup one was going to happen. I don't know exactly what the number is. Do you have the exact number?
I believe it was like 3 years, like 65.
Does that make him the highest paid
Makes him
wide
the
receiver?
highest paid. It makes him the highest paid wide receiver.
Okay, so he's the highest paid wide receiver.
3 years, 78 million. I wasn't even close.
That's a lot of money.
75 mil that is guaranteed.
That's a lot of money. So
That's a
he's
lot of guaranteed money.
the highest paid wide receiver.
Yep.
I mean, it's kind of not surprising that he signed the contract. I wouldn't say, in my personal opinion, I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL, but the way salary cap
Me neither.
goes, I guess each time a star wide receiver signs a contract, they'll probably be the highest paid wide receiver. Um, so I don't know. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. Obviously, you got to bring him back. And the one that was a little bit in doubt was the Aaron Darnold one. Didn't know if he was going to retire or not. Said he was fine if he didn't get a contract. Um, his contract was very big as well. Highest
It made
paid
him
D.
the highest paid non-quarterback player.
That's which is insane. But he's a monster. It's cool. You
Definitely
never really,
deserving.
yeah, you never really see linemen get paid like that. But
We kind
uh,
of we kind of talked about it the last couple of weeks about Vasti being possibly will eventually be the best goalie of all time. I know Donald's a bit older; he's 30, just about to turn 31. But is there a possibility that Aaron Donald, by the time his career's done, which I'm assuming he'll just play out to the end of this contract, which is 3 years, will he be the best defensive player ever after he retires?
it's definitely possible. He's just been a beast for so long, and every year, um, he keeps putting up these insane numbers. But like he's getting double and triple teamed, and he's still getting the quarterback. So like he might not be putting up the best numbers in the league, but he's also like one of the only players getting double and triple teamed. So he gets that attention for a reason, and I could definitely see it.
Well, the only other guy I could see beating him out is the guy that probably already has it right now, and I'm probably gonna forget somebody, but Lawrence Taylor, he's another um defensive end that played for the Giants. He's the guy that holds the that TJ Watt tied for the highest sack.
Yep.
He's probably up there along with guys like Ray Lewis, like that for probably best defensive player of all time. So he's definitely got big shoes to fill if he wants to he said he's definitely the best right now, top 5 ever. Um, it'll be interesting to see by the time his career's done what his stat line looks like compared to some of these other guys.
For sure, time will tell.
In my
Go ahead.
opinion with the Cup contracts, I haven't really
Oh yeah,
said on that. I have no issues off the season he had. I have no issues giving a player the salary that he got given the year he had. My issue is this was the first year he sort of broke out as the only year he's really been in that top 10 receiver range. Before this year, I don't think I had him in my top 15. He was probably in the 20 to 15 range. He was probably just one of those like number one receivers that gets untalked, but I think it was sort of the Matthew Stafford effect. So it'll be interesting to see, like, not that I don't think he's not going to have, like, it's kind of hard to have the season he had again. I don't think he'll be as dominant, winning the triple crown, but it'll be interesting to see how his bounce back season will be. I think I lost him. Brando. Well, this is interesting. Guess I'm going solo. So what I was saying, guys, based on the Cup contract, the Cooper Cup, he got 3 years, 78 mil, 75 guaranteed, which is a lot of guaranteed. Usually you see about 20 mil of it not guaranteed. I have no issues with Cooper Cup. I'd probably have him around 4 or 5 right now, maybe 3 highest for as of receivers in the league. But my issue, like I said, he's done it for 1 year. Before, and that was even with Robert Woods out, um, you got Allen Robinson now getting touches with him. So we have a lot of issues there, or not issues, but a lot of balls that will be thrown to him, take coverage off him, which is always a good thing. But we'll try to get Ewell in here. Give him a text here. Oh, hey guys, it's just me. Oh, okay, so I guess I can talk a bit about episode 50 while I'm waiting for Brandon to get back in the call. Episode 50, which is next week, will be obviously the 50th episode of the Valley Sports Talk podcast. Um, we are, like I said in the intro, bringing in 2 guys. One, me and Brandon joined him a couple months ago to talk about our 3/4 of the way Stanley Cup predictions. We're gonna bring him on because by the time we're recording, we're hoping that either the Rangers or Lightning have set the finals matchup. We're gonna be talking a lot of NHL with him. Then we actually have another interview. I know I talked about this interview a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago. I think we were possibly trying to have it for like episode 46 or 47. But we decided to delay it and make episode 50 bigger. It's gonna be with another Deep River player who plays D3 college. Um, we're super excited. He's one of our good buddies. He was on a ball hockey team. He's on the ball hockey team that me and Brandon play on right now. He's had a lot of interest. He's put a lot of super good teams in a lot of different leagues around Ontario. So it'll be really, we're really excited to see what he has to say about his journey throughout minor hockey and where it has taken him. We're gonna see what Brandon's up to right now. Oh, hello.
hello. Did you just keep it going, or you just
Yeah, we're still going. We're live, baby.
were you talking the entire
I
time?
was talking the entire time. I talked about episode 50 a bit.
Not a boy. I lost you as soon as you said he was in my 15 to 20 range.
So I basically said that um, after the season he had, I had no issues giving him the contract. I just think that it was a bit premature. I wanted to see what he could sort of do this year, and especially bring in Allen Robinson, who 2 years ago was arguably a top, like a fringe top 10 receiver, and then he got Justin Fields as a quarterback as a rookie, and now he has Matthew Stafford. I think that will take targets away from him. So I don't think he's gonna. Cooper Cup's obviously gonna be have as big of a season as he did. But that being said, he got the bag and he deserved it, so I got no issues.
Fair enough.
No issues,
I
just concerns.
yeah, I mean, like he's only done it for 1 year at the level he did it last year. So we'll have to wait and see. Um, Getting off the NFL, we have a lot of big name sort of trade targets and stuff in the NBA, and we're going to start off with probably the least likely to happen in
Hello?
Damian Lillard. Um, there's been some trade talks with Damian Lillard. Obviously, the Trailblazers aren't very good. Damian Lillard's coming off an injury. He's pretty old. So there's a lot of talk that they should just blow it up and trade Dame. So I'm going to bring up the top three trades for Damian Lillard and see what Noah has to think about them. Like I said, I think Damian Lillard's the least out of the likely out of the people we'll talk to get traded, but it's still out there. So the first one I'm talking about is um, the 76ers
Damn, this
received
has been a
Damian.
weird podcast.
We're doing great. Um, so the first trade rumor is the 76ers received Dame Lillard and the Trailblazers received Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle. What do you think of that?
Ben Simmons isn't on the Sixers.
Damn. What? He's not. Why is that trade on there? Okay, hold on. We'll move to the next trade. That's my bad. I'm on some website and this is what that's the one they said.
Maybe it might be a bit outdated.
It didn't no, it was wait, it's like 2 months old. Anyways, okay, we'll do this one. So trade two is the Wizards received Damian Lillard for Denny Avita, Hachimura, and 3 first-round picks.
If I'm saying no if I'm Portland, not that I don't think it's enough for Dame Lillard, I just think that Avdia and Hachimura are unproven, and they're both sort of trending towards the bust category, both being top 10 picks. And then obviously with those 3 first-round picks, you're not guaranteed to get a player of Dame Lillard's caliber out of those picks. It's sort of um, luck or not luck, just like luck if he'll be good or luck if he'll be not. So if I am trading Dame Lillard, if I'm Trailblazers, I need to have a proven young player coming back.
So if you're the Trailblazers, you're saying no to that. If you're the Wizards, you're saying yes.
Correct.
I think obviously for the Wizards, you almost have to say yes to that because that basically would guarantee you a pretty good chance of Bradley Beal staying. Um, but yeah, I agree. I don't know. I feel like Dame could get traded just because the Trailblazers aren't going to be good in a stacked West, even if he's healthy. So we'll see. Trade number 3 in the last trade is the Knicks received Damian Lillard for RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, and 2 first-round picks.
This is a weird one. I'm honestly saying no if I'm the Knicks. Um, I think both teams say no in this. I don't think I don't think Portland's wanting to trade Dame Lillard. I think they're sort of retooling their roster around him. And if I'm the Knicks, I have RJ Barrett, who's a young star, or not a young star, but an up and coming hopeful star. You got Obi Toppin, who should get more minutes once Julius Randle is gone, and he's shown in the minutes he's gotten that he can be a guy that can have these minutes. Quentin Grimes is unproven, and these 2 first-round picks, especially this year, it's going to be a decent one. They'll be able to add another young guy to their core, and I just think that there's not enough talent in that Knicks organization right now that if you get Dame Lillard, you will automatically be a championship contender.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. If I'm the Knicks, I say no to this because RJ Barrett's like what 23, and he's
Yeah,
proving to be a very good player in this league. And Damian Lillard's coming off a season-ending, season-long injury, and he's on the wrong side of 30. So if I'm the Knicks, I say no. If you sub out RJ Barrett for Julius Randle, then I consider it. I would probably do that. I may do that, but RJ Barrett seems like a bit too steep. So yeah, like I said, Dame's probably the least likely out of these to get traded, but it's definitely something to look at. Next we have DeAndre Ayton. It doesn't seem like they're kind of agreeing, him and the Phoenix Suns organization. So it's pretty likely that he is going to either walk because he wants a max contract, and the Suns aren't sounding like they aren't willing to give him that. So it seems like he's either going to walk or he's going to be traded, a sign and trade. So if we're looking at the sign and trade situation, the first one I have here is DeAndre Ayton for Rudy Gobert.
I'm saying no. If I'm the Suns, I think it's just 1-for-1. I don't think that's a very good move. Um, Not that I don't think DeAndre Ayton's coming back at all, but I also don't think that Rudy Gobert makes that team as much better as it already would have been if they still had DeAndre Ayton. Yes, he makes that defense way better, but at least DeAndre Ayton actually has some post game. Um, not that I also don't think that DeAndre Ayton is a better center than Rudy Gobert is right now. I just think that um, you're not really getting much better to put yourself over the hump if you're Phoenix.
How about I'll ask you this, because in all these trades, Phoenix obviously loses all these trades, but I think the reason is because it sounds like DeAndre Ayton doesn't want to be there anymore. So if you're going to sign and trade someone, you're going to lose the trade anyways. But it's DeAndre Ayton's either going to get signed and traded or he's going to walk. So I'll tell you the 4 trades, and you tell me if you're Phoenix, which one do you like the best? Okay.
Yep,
So
that sounds good.
we said Ayton for Rudy is the first one. Then we got DeAndre Ayton to the Orlando Magic for Markelle Fultz, Wendell Carter Jr., and a pick. We got a straight up swap, DeAndre Ayton for Fred VanVleet. And then probably the biggest one is another straight up swap, DeAndre Ayton for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that one's there because Shai has worked with Chris Paul already.
Um, the one I think is most likely, I don't think the Orlando one happens. I think I think Oklahoma City says no for that. Considering they have a number 2 pick and they could possibly add a player at the same position as Aiden. If any of those are most likely, I say it's the Orlando one. And I don't actually mind the Orlando one if I'm the Phoenix Suns. You have Chris Paul, who's not getting any younger. Not saying he's getting any worse. It'll be interesting to see if age finally starts to hit him this year. But you have Markelle Fultz, who's a former number 1 overall pick, who had a terrible jump shot. You know, they tried to fix it, didn't work. Then he had injuries. He's here 24, sort of in a loaded backcourt in Orlando. I think that it's a perfect spot for Fultz to sort of be mentored by Chris Paul in the final years of Chris Paul's career. And I really like Wendell Carter. I think he's sort of becoming in that underrated territory since he is on Orlando, and he doesn't really get much talk about him. I think that he would be a perfect sort of replacement for DeAndre Ayton. He's on a good team-friendly contract for the next couple of years. And then that first-round pick, the Magic are still rebuilding. They're still not going to be that good. And that has the potential to add a young core to D-Book, Fultz, and Wendell Carter. And Mikal Bridges. I didn't even talk about him.
Yeah, no, I think you make good points that Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter are both a little underrated. I think the one, obviously, um, that I think is pretty cool would be Ayton for Shai. Um, if Ayton is unwilling to take a little less money to stay on the Suns team and he really wants to max, it's kind of showing. And in all fairness to him, like there's no disrespect in this, but he's looking for money more than championships, it seems like, at this current point in his career. So if he wants the max, the Thunder can definitely give it to him. And then Shai, he's worked with Chris Paul. He made the playoffs with Chris Paul. And Shea Booker and um, Chris Paul would be pretty cool to see. So yeah, I don't know if he gets traded or if he straight up walks, but it definitely sounds like DeAndre Ayton will not be a Sun next year. And then the last one is we're going to talk about the Utah Jazz. I don't know which one of these two are going to get traded. Might not be either of them, but it sounds like sort of one of them will be traded. Um, if one of them are to get traded, I don't know who you think it would be. Personally, I think it'd be Mitchell because it just sounds like Utah drafted Rudy Gobert. They gave him I know Utah drafted Donovan Mitchell too, but um, Rudy Gobert seems very loyal to the city. I feel like he's more likely to come back.
Um, hey, still going?
So we'll start off with Rudy, anyways. So the first Rudy trade goes to the San Antonio Spurs for two first-round picks, Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson, and Jakob Poeltl.
I don't like it for the Jazz. I don't think it makes them any better. They're sort of stuck in that dead zone where they're a competitive team, but they don't have what it takes to get over the hump. And I don't think this does any better. Jakob Poeltl is a great starting center in the league. He's also one of the more underrated players in the league. I just don't think that those players you named make the Jazz much better than they already are.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think maybe the only reason you do that is because Rudy Gobert is making $40 million a year, and then maybe you can spend some of that money elsewhere, and you bring in a couple shooters. Um, so the next one, which I thought was kind of interesting, was Rudy Gobert and a first round pick go to the Brooklyn Nets for Ben Simmons. I don't know what you
Again,
think.
I don't like it for Utah. I feel. Oh, are you still talking?
Nope.
Okay. Um, I don't like this for Utah. I think Ben Simmons is just a quicker, more versatile Rudy Gobert, and the fact you have to throw in a first round pick to get Ben Simmons doesn't really sit well with me, considering you don't have a starting center and Ben Simmons can't shoot, so you need him to bring up the ball, but then also you need Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, should be your primary ball handler to be able to make um to be able to sort of make moves or be the guy to run that offense through. So I don't like it for Utah. I like it for the Nets, however.
Okay, well, I'll switch it up then because you didn't like it for the Jazz for both of these trades. But I think, well, if you agree with me, I like this one for the Jazz, not for the other team. The Toronto Raptors received Rudy Gobert for Kem Birch, OG Anunoby, and Gary Trent Jr.
I like it for the Jazz. I think you're getting a three and D, two great 3-and-D players in Gary Trent and OG. They're both on good contracts. They both become free agents pretty soon. Kem Birch is a fine depth center. He showed in Toronto flashes of being able to work this post game and defend the rim. And as for Toronto, I don't think they should really give up on OG or Gary Trent yet for a player that can't make his own shot. Um, so in this case, no for Toronto and yes for Utah.
Yeah, I just think the Toronto Raptors have been really big this year on the like core. We're young. We're all 25 and younger, and then that kind of just shakes it all up. But hey, next we'll move on to Donovan Mitchell. The first trade, I think, is a pretty big one. It involves the Hawks, who have been. It seems like the Hawks are looking to blow it up. So this could actually make sense. The Hawks get Donovan Mitchell to pair up with Trae Young, and the Utah Jazz get two first-round picks, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, and John Collins.
Yeah, I don't mind it for either team. Obviously, I like it a lot. Pairing Donovan Mitchell beside Trae Young, but it's gonna be the same thing for me. DeAndre Hunter has not been able to stay healthy. Jalen Johnson did not play much this year. I do like the John Collins fit, but I also don't like his fit beside Rudy Gobert because they're both defensive. John Collins can stretch the floor if he wants to, but I don't think you really have a player to run your offense through at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I actually kind of like it for both teams as well. John Collins, obviously, like you said, might not work the best with Rudy Gobert in scoring, but Hunter's proven to be a good scorer. First round picks helps, and then Donovan Mitchell and Trey Young. Trey Young needs some other shooters on the team, so that could help. Um, Trade number two is Donovan Mitchell to the Spurs for Keldon Johnson, Josh Primo, Doug McDermott, and three first round picks.
I actually like this for Utah. Like I like it more than that last Hawks trade. I don't know if I do it. Three first round picks is a lot for Donovan Mitchell. And I don't really know if this is the route I want to take if I'm San Antonio, considering I really like what they've started sort of done with this rebuild with their young players. But I like Keldon Johnson a lot. Joshua Primo is a Canadian, so I gotta like him. They took him pretty high in last year's draft. And then the three first round picks is really what puts over it. I think if you're two, you consider if you're Utah, but then the second you throw in that third first round pick, you take it because I don't think Donovan Mitchell is making this team with just him going over a playoff team, considering you're giving away um um Keldon Johnson, who was probably their number two scorer this year behind DeJounte. But that defensive backcourt in San Antonio would be nuts.
Yeah, I agree. Like if you're the Jazz, if you're trading Donovan Mitchell, you're obviously not going to be as good as you were last year. So if you can get a couple young players and three first round picks, it's a great direction to go. Um, it's kind of scary for the Spurs because if you're trading your next three first round picks, you're really banking on Murray, Mitchell, and Pirtle to be good NBA players because that's basically what you're gonna have for the next couple of years because they're not a big free agent destination and you don't have any picks anymore. So you're really banking on them. Your next trade, these Donovan Mitchell trades are pretty spicy. I like it. The 76ers get Donovan Mitchell and Bogdanovich, and the Jazz receive Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Danny Green, and two first round picks.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's spicy right there.
I like that for both teams because I think I'm honestly I'm a big fan of Tyrese Maxey. Just seeing what he did in that Raptors series really shows what he will be able to do next year with one more year of experience under his belt. I think he's going to be one of those sneaky players that could make it an all-star team next year. I think uh I think I'm saying yes if I'm both teams here. The Jazz stay competitive. Tobias Harris is no slouch, even though he is getting paid a lot of money. Two first round picks. They're going to be mid picks. You know, you never know. Donovan Mitchell was was an early to mid first round pick himself, and look where he is now. And then I think Bogdanovich is sort of a cheaper Tobias Harris for the Sixers. So I'm honestly a fan of this trade for both teams.
Yeah, I really like this trade. And I think the best point you made there was out of the trades we looked at so far, this is the best one for the Jazz to stay competitive. Because, like you said, Terry Maxey is very underrated. He's great defensively. Tobias Harris is what he is. Danny Green can still hit threes, and then you also get two first round picks. So I definitely would say yes for both these as well. I think the Jazz, I would be screaming yes. But we have two more trades to go on. This one, I saw this one, I kind of laughed. I don't know. We'll get your opinion on it. Um, the Pelicans get Donovan Mitchell for a first round pick, Garrett Temple, Larry Nance Jr., and Zion.
Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
a fan of Zion. I think he's overrated, but I'm still not doing it considering he hasn't really played for you. Like I think he's played max 30 games in the NBA, and in those 30 games he was dominant. I think he's gonna have an issue staying healthy. So honestly, if I'm the Jazz, I'm saying yes because the potential of Zion being an absolutely freak of nature is definitely up there. But if I'm the Pelicans, I'm shutting the phone down the second you hear the.
Yeah, when I heard that, I thought it was pretty funny too. And so the website that I'm looking at gives reasons for all these trades. So I was reading this one because I saw Zion's name. I was like, "There's no way," but the website said there's obvious injury concerns with Zion, and do you trade him while there's still value? That's what they were saying
No.
basically. Um, and then the last trade, um, Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks for Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickly, Evan Fournier, Alec Burks, and 3 first-round picks.
If I'm the Jazz and the team they have, the fan base there is great in Salt Lake. Um, this is another one of those ones where I don't think it makes the Jazz better. Like it doesn't keep them competitive. They're sort of in a retool process. And Emmanuel quickly had a he's an interesting prospect in the fact that he was good, and then Kemba came. Kemba got benched, and then they still weren't running the offense, or they still weren't letting quickly be the, the number one option. So there's that question again that I stated with a couple of the other players, like who do you run your offense through if in Utah? Like, do you try to make it quickly? Like I know Conley's there, and he'd be a good mentor for quickly, but I still don't know who
Jordan
your number one
Clarkson.
option is and who you run it through.
Yeah, I think for this trade to go through, like obviously if I'm the Knicks, I'd probably say yes to this because having RJ, Donovan Mitchell, uh, Randall, and Robinson, that's a pretty good starting four right there. Um, but if I'm the Jazz, if I'm going to trade Donovan Mitchell away, I got to be getting at least Julius Randle back because
Yeah, that keeps them competitive.
yeah, you got to stay somewhat competitive. Um, so that's all the trades they got. Out of the 4 people we've talked about, who do you think's most likely to get traded?
Aiden.
Aiden? Yeah, I think so too. I think Aiden's gone no matter what.
I think he's gone no matter what. And then next, I honestly think it's Donovan Mitchell. I think he's easier to get rid of than Rudy Gobert. Not get
Yeah,
rid of, but easier to trade.
Gobert makes $40 million. That's the issue.
He makes 40 mil and he can't create his own shot. So he's not much of an asset.
Yeah. Keeping with the NBA, moving on to the NBA Finals. We are recording this on Thursday night, so Game 3 happened last night. Pretty close game. The Celtics ended up winning Game 3. They're up 2-1 in the series. I think there's so many days in between games.
It's stupid. It's so dumb.
Did they play like Friday or Saturday?
I think it's Saturday. I think they're giving him 2 nights in between, which is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah, it's weird. Some games are 2 nights in
NHL
between.
is way more excruciating. They're getting 1 day off, and you're letting little NBA players rest for 2 days off. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So by the time this podcast comes out, will be a 2-1 Celtics lead. I believe you and me said Golden State in 7.
I said
Has
Golden
your
State and six.
Oh, you said Golden State in 6. So has your
Yeah.
opinion on the winner or
I
duration of
don't
this
think
series?
the winner. I don't think the winners change. I still think the Warriors are too good to not come out of this. Being the experienced team, I think they do in 7 now though. They're getting a little exploited for their small ball. Robert Williams and Al Horford are able to grab offensive rebounds, kick it out for a three. I think all the Warriors would do is figure out like rebounding, boxing out, and then I think they'll be fine because Klay Thompson finally that looked like Klay Thompson last night, and he was able to make his shots. And Steph Curry's still doing Steph Curry things. Draymond is not going to be a scorer. I honestly think that the Warriors should turn to Jordan Poole a bit more. They were starting to do it last night. The first 2 games he didn't play much, but last night he was finally bringing the ball up whenever Steph was on and stuff like that. I think the Warriors and Steve Kerr they'll figure it out and they'll be able to come up on top on this.
Yeah, I said Warriors in 7. I'm still gonna stick with that. I am getting a little nervous though. We'll see. Other than Game 7, obviously, because that's the most important game. Do you think Game 4 will be the most important game in this series?
100%. If the Warriors don't tie it up, they're the only team in NBA history to go down to lose a series whenever up 3-1. I don't think they'll be the second team to come back.
Yeah, Game 4 is definitely
A
it's I
must
feel
win.
like it's a must win for both teams. it's a must win for
Yeah, you
the
don't want to be
Celtics.
going if you're the Celtics, you don't want to be going back to the Bay 2-2 with the chance that the Warriors go up 3-2 in the Bay.
Exactly. You don't want to be going back 2-2 with 2 games of the 3 left in Golden State. So I think so. Obviously, we're probably gonna have similar answers here because the Finals MVP goes to somebody on the winning team 99.99 times out of 100. So who would unless you're Jerry West, who
True.
is your Finals MVP so far?
Uh, so far it's Curry, but if it is the Celtics, I'm actually gonna go with Jaylen Brown over Tatum. Tatum's been kind of disappointing, especially last night. Jaylen Brown sort of took over in that first quarter and was sort of the reason the Celtics won. So right now, even though they're down 2-1, I'm still going Curry. But if the Celtics win, I got to give it to Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, I'm kind of I thought we would have similarities, but at the same time, I thought you'd pick Tatum because I'm also Jaylen Brown. Tatum had a bit of a better game than him last night, but consistently over the 3 games, Jaylen Brown's looked a little better and just a little more calm. Jason Tatum, I think as the series goes on, I think he'll settle down. But
I've seen Tatum take a lot of stupid shots.
that's what I'm saying. I think finals is getting to him a little bit, the big stage,
Yeah,
but we'll see. Um, who in this series has disappointed you?
it's got to be Clay. I mean, he was a big part of the Warriors coming into this. I know he's coming off injury and he doesn't look as good as Klay Thompson usually does, but he's got 26 points in 3 games. Like I'm expecting him to get 26 points per night in the finals for them to have a chance to win.
Yeah, my answer was Clay after the first 2 games as well, but he played all right. All right in game 3. So my answer actually switched to Draymond Green. I know he's obviously not a scorer, but in game 2, he was being Draymond, doing some stupid stuff. Could have easily got kicked out of the game. And then in game 3, uh, Draymond Green fouled out again. Well, not again, but he almost fouled out in game 2. Almost got kicked out. He fouled out in game 3 with 2 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like that's you just can't do. I know he's not scoring, but he gets his rebounds and his assists. If I'm looking at game 2 stats when Draymond almost got kicked out, he didn't have very good stats either. It's not the leader and ball handler pass rebound Draymond that we've seen in the past. So he's disappointed me, and I think he's gonna have to pick it up and get out of his own head and get out of the ref's ear for a little bit. Um, that'll wrap up NBA. That was a good talk. Um, going into the NHL, the series Colorado Edmonton is over. It was still going last time we did a podcast, so we didn't do the wrap up. So we'll do the Oilers wrap up now. Obviously, they got swept. This is second year in a row they got swept. So I think goaltending. We'll see if they finally fix it. Do you think they finally get a goalie?
If they don't, if I'm see like whenever we asked earlier in the week when we were gonna record and stuff happened, I literally said I'm like when we're recording because I'm gonna go off on the others, but I've sort of calmed down. Not that I haven't, not that I don't, not that I shouldn't not still go off on them. But you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, probably the 2 best players in the world as of this moment, and you think that a 40-year-old Mike Smith will be able to go through a marathon in the playoffs against a stacked Colorado team. Like, what the hell is Ken Holland thinking?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I don't know. It just baffles me. Like, even the depth behind them, their defense defensively sucks. Their depth is terrible. They're just a bad team, and they should not have made it to where they were. I think they just had a horseshoe up their ass to get through there. They got a defensive team in LA that Connor McDavid and Draisaitl went through. They had a Jacob Markstrom who couldn't save a freaking beach ball in the second round. And then they finally get a wake up call with a stacked Avalanche team. Like, come on, Edmonton, fucking find a goalie. Like, just comes down to that.
This is your calm down version of going after
Yeah,
them. I
this
would
is me calm down. I was pretty furious at the Oilers. And I was honestly, they got what it was coming for them, thinking that they actually had a chance with the team they assembled, getting swept by Colorado.
Yeah, if you guys watch all of our podcasts, we're not the biggest Edmonton Oilers fan, but they're a Canadian team, so I was kind of hoping they'd go far. It's unfortunate we're going to go another year without a Canadian winner, but it is what it is. So just for reference,
You
Mikko
got to rely on the
Koskinen,
Leafs, the Flames, or the Oilers. Like we're fucked as Canadians.
we were in trouble. um, Mike Smith's still under contract for one more year. Mikko Koskinen is a free agent, so we'll see what happens there.
Mikko
Um,
Koskinen is going back to the Russian league. Mike Smith, if he retires, if he doesn't retire, you cut him. Stuart Skinner's your backup, and you sign Billy Husso. Problem solved.
there you go.
Put me as GM.
Um,
Ken Holland sucks. And this is the
so
worst part. They have $8 million in cap space to figure
yeah,
out their goalie situation. And we're about to talk about all the free agents they still have that they have to bring back. And half the free agents are playing their top six.
yeah. So here's the problem with the Edmonton Oilers. It's looking like they're going to have between 14 and like $18 million in cap space, and they have three RFAs, pretty major RFAs, and Ryan McLeod, who's 22, Kyler Yamamoto, who's 23, and Jesse Puljujarvi, who's 24, and then Evander Kane's obviously their big UFA. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but their top six defenders are basically the six defenders that played for them in the playoffs are all still under contract, so they're probably going to be bringing back the same defensive core. um, but yeah, their three youngest, highest potential players are restricted free agents, and they don't have much cap space to work with. So I think they bring all three of them back. The problem is they will not have much room for anything else because Ryan McLeod played really well for being a fourth liner, and he was only 22. Like it was his first kind of taste in the NHL. He was making 800,000 last year. I think he's somewhere in the $2 million range. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, give him 1.5, see what he thinks. If he doesn't, let him walk. You can find a fourth liner. Um, we're gonna keep going. Not that I don't think that he won't take 1.5 because he only sort of started showing it in the playoffs. What he can
He's only
do,
22
and
though.
yeah, I know. Maybe I got a bit ahead of myself saying let him walk. He doesn't accept 1.5. The Oilers just frustrate me, man.
So let's say you get him back for 1.5 and you have about $16 million left to work with.
Puljujarvi, you
Um,
can send him to the moon and not bring him back. Like he did nothing. I know he was hurt, but I'm prioritizing Evander Kane, a goalie, and Yamamoto if I'm the Oilers.
yeah, I think the problem is Pugliarvi and Yamamoto are both so young. I mean, so you have like let's say $16 million left. You have to get a hopefully starting goalie, which will put you somewhere in the $5 million range. So let's say you have just over $10 million left, and you have Evander Kane, Kailer Yamamoto, and Jesse Pugliarvi.
It's going to be either hopefully the reports I'm seeing it's going to be close to 7 mil for Evander Kane's contract.
But then, so that you like 3, 4, 5 mil left. I don't know if Kailer Yamamoto
I
signs for
I think Kyler
anything
Yamamoto
less.
signs for anywhere between 3.5 to 4. I don't
I think
think
if you get him
he's
for that,
worth
that's a
that
steal.
much though.
Yeah, but the problem is he's young, so
Yeah, I don't think he
and
can really
he's
ask
shown.
for much more. I don't think they're going to if they're going to bring it's so hard because they screwed themselves giving like okay, here we go again, we getting angry. Look at this is going to make me sound biased. Look at what Sidney Crosby did a couple years ago. Took a pay cut. Look at the players they put around him. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl don't give a crap about their team. They just give a crap about themselves. Signed all this money and look where the Oilers are now. Good
Yeah,
one.
because the problem with the Oilers is if they offer like Kailer Yamamoto $4 million and he's like, no, I think I should be in the 4.5, 5. Like, what are the Edmonton Oilers going to do? Say no? Just Kailer Yamamoto will be like, okay, find another second liner worth that much. Like, find a second liner worth $4 million.
The thing
You're
is,
not
he's an
going to find
RFA,
that.
so they can match whatever deal he gets. So you never know. One team might do the Kotkaniemi thing and give him a lot of money for 1 year, and then possibly try to work out an extension with him throughout the year.
They're definitely
I know
gonna
you get
lose.
you get compensation back from that, but I don't think it definitely won't be a first round pick. It'll probably be like a third and a fifth, maybe.
Yeah, you're
Is that really
definitely
worth losing Yamamoto? Probably not.
no, you're definitely if you're prioritizing signing of Vander Kane, you're definitely losing one of Yamamoto and Puljujärvi. There's no way you're
And
gonna get them back.
I rather have Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yamamoto I think is a year younger than Puljujärvi.
He
Um,
is.
I'm not sure about that. They're 1 year apart
He's
either
also
way.
10 times better.
And yeah, he's a lot better. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers are so what it sounds like is the Edmonton Oilers are going to be bringing back a pretty similar team. Um, so we'll see how that goes for them. Um, quick Colorado talk. Um, a quick question is, do you think this long rest, and it looks like the Rangers Tampa series is going at least six? Do you think this long rest give me some good and some bad heading into the
Good.
finals?
Um, you can nurse those injuries. Landeskog got banged up in game four. Obviously lost Kadri. I did see a report today that a very good or very like known sports doctor said there's a chance that Kadri injury should only last about 7 to 10 days, which is the best scenario for the Avs. So good, those players have a chance to get rested up. Bad, what happened to Tampa? You come out slow in games one and two and possibly go down 2-0 to a team that probably will be off for a maximum of 3 days.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you're going to be playing a really good team in the finals, so you can't have any slow starts because that could be the end of it right there. Um, if Kadri doesn't play, and they have to play a Rangers or Tampa series, what does it look like for Colorado without Kadri?
The obviously it's not great, the type of player Kadri is, type of player he's been playing like this year. That's hard to fill. It's almost with the team they have, it's impossible to fill. But you saw guys like in the OTR, Terry Lekkinen, JT Comfort, even Alex Newhook. Like you got players that can play, and they've shown it with the absence of Kadri. So I'm not really scared. I still think the Avs are probably the favorite, whether they play Tampa or the Rangers. But I'm obviously having Kadri is a good thing. But if Kadri is not fit to play, I'm not shaking in my boots or I'm not losing faith.
Yeah, I think it just shows, like, especially if Tampa makes it to the finals against Colorado, it just shows how deep these two teams are because they both lost. Like Kadri, their second best center, and then um, Tampa obviously lost Braden Point, and they're probably their best center. So just shows how deep these teams are, and Colorado can definitely make do without Kadri. Although it'd be very nice to have a guy like Kadri in. Um, moving on to the Rangers Tampa series, this one definitely looks like it could go the distance. Um, obviously, if the Rangers lose a series, I think they'll look back at not winning a game in Tampa. So, like, how big, if you're when you're up 2-0, how big is it to not win a game in Tampa and let them come back?
It's huge. Winning two straight and having all the momentum going into MSG, where the Rangers have only lost once all season, all playoffs, and it was to Pittsburgh in Game One of their series in triple overtime. It's massive. I think that if Tampa loses either of those games at home, like they're done. I don't think the Rangers are losing at MSG. I'm not saying they're not going to lose tonight, the night we record this. I actually think Tampa will prevail tonight, just because they have the momentum. But it was massive for them to win both those games in Tampa, and even the last game or not the last game, but the third game, like the game three when Palat scored that. I think that was like the TSN turning point for this series.
Yeah. No, you're definitely not wrong. And one of my next questions was who's going to win Game Five. So do you think Tampa's going to win tonight?
Tampa, I think Tampa rolls tonight. They have all the
I also,
momentum. New
yeah,
York's gonna defend their barn, but I think Tampa's gonna come out guns blazing.
Yeah, I think Tampa's also going to win Game 5. I don't know if like some ghost from the future tapped me on the shoulder or something, but after watching like the first 2 minutes of Game 3, I turned to my brother and said Tampa's going to win four straight. So they've won two. I think they'll win tonight and close out at home. We'll see.
You should go to
Um,
Vegas.
I should go to Vegas. Obviously it's important, but I just want to hear your thoughts on like when you got goalies like Igor Shesterkin and Andre Vasilevsky, and you got two major like loud Intuit fans in Tampa Bay and New York. How important in especially this series is the first goal of the game?
First goal of the game is more important for the Rangers because Vasilevsky has been here before. He's proven he can do it under crowds. Where Igor is new, like not new, but he's been able like you. I'm gonna keep going back to this Pittsburgh series. In the two games in Pittsburgh, the Pens fans got under his skin and got him yanked both games. Like it was obvious that the Penguins fans were getting under his skin, and showed his inexperience. So I think that the first goal is obviously massive because in mathematical terms, the team that scores the game wins the game probably 7 times out of 10. But I
Yeah,
think it's more big, it's a bigger first goal if the Rangers get it, or if yeah, if
yeah,
the Rangers get it.
I definitely agree, and I think just like you said, we got two good goalies here. So even though it's definitely, I think it's more important for the Rangers, especially tonight when it's in New York. I think if they can get the first goal, that could carry them far. I think it's important, obviously, for both teams. I mean, it goes a little deeper than obviously first goal wins most of the time. But just when you get two goalies like this, I mean, I don't think the first goal really mattered in the Colorado Edmonton series or the Calgary Edmonton series, as we saw, but a first goal in a series like this definitely means a lot. And we'll just the last question about the NHL that I want to ask Noah because I think it'll hurt his feelings, and I like doing that to him. Is this the start of many deep playoff runs for this New York Rangers team?
Yes, if they can get better 5 at 5, 5 versus 5. They are still the worst team in the league at 5-on-5 right now, and they're in the conference finals. Was a chance to take a 3-2 series lead to possibly make the Stanley Cup final. So it's kind of hard not to say yes, given the team they have. Shesterkin's 22, Panarin, Zibanejad, Mott, Lafreniere is gonna figure it out. They got Hedel, it just goes on and on. But I think and look at the cap space they have. I'm not a Rangers fan. They're honestly my least favorite team right now. But it's hard to not say that they're not bound for the playoffs in these next 5 years, like at least.
Yeah, exactly. I had to throw this question in last because I knew it'd make you
It's
feel really
hard.
good.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say deep because the NHL's it's such a tough to win four straight, to win 4 games on a team. But they're definitely playoff bound for these next couple of years.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. So
I
I
think
just wanted
it's
to
my turn.
finish. What?
No, go ahead. Finish off with your thing. Remember,
Oh
I
no,
have my
go ahead.
thing.
Yeah, do you want to do that?
So Brand doesn't have us on his, so he's about to jump to our little finale, which is gonna be a fun little game for us to play. Um, but I've decided to throw in Hall of Fame or not. Basically, it's exactly what it says in the title. I'm gonna give Brandon 3 names from the 3 major sports we talk about here. And he's just going to give me one word answer, Hall of Fame or not. If you want to give like a simple explanation of why you think they'll make it, go ahead. Um, and Brandon does not know any of these players
I
ahead of
don't.
this, so this should be interesting. We're going to start with the NBA since we're hot into the finals. My first player is a player we just finished talking about, Draymond Green.
I think Draymond Green is a no doubt first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's got a little bit of the temper, obviously, but just the defensive player of the years, the all defensive teams, and the championships and leadership. He's got to be there.
He's definitely a Hall of Famer for me, too. This second guy, me and you both know and love him very much, and he gets thrown around this conversation a lot. Kyle Lowry.
This is such a hard question. The Toronto fan in me wants to say yes, but I don't. I don't think he'll get in. It's such a hard spot to get into. He won one championship. He was a multiple time All-Star, but he was never on all NBA teams. He wasn't like
Made one.
even did he? Did he make one?
One All NBA
Um,
third team in 2018 or 17, one of those two.
okay, I think he just I don't know. I think his prime was too short.
Definitely. Agreed. Not agreed that his prime is too short. I think he gets in. I think
You do?
he's one of those last guys that gets in.
If he
And
gets in, it'll
another guy we were just talking about, Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert will get in. I think. I think just the style he plays, his defensive mind, all the blocks. He's definitely gonna. He leads the league in like rebounds and blocks every year. Then he's in Defensive Player of the Year conversation every year. So I think he will get in. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he will get in.
I think three straight defensive player of the year candidates should be enough right there. And I honestly
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden, a couple years after he's retired, if he does make the Hall of Fame, we get a Gobert defensive player of the year, like named after him.
definitely cool.
Um, moving into some NHL, I have three older players here, two which just retired. I guess we'll start with them. Number one, we have Ryan Getzlaf.
Ryan Getzlaf is a no doubter Hall of Famer. Won the Stanley Cup. Uh, and he's just been a leader and one of the best NHLers in the 2010s for sure.
Um, I'll give you this player while I just search the stats. I
I need
think.
your answers. What do you think about Getzlaf?
Oh, Getz definitely 100%.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Second player, one of your boys, Jason Spezza.
Jason Spezza. Also, quickly to say about Ryan Getzlaf, I think just so people know, Hockey Hall of Fame isn't just NHL and all the international stuff. He's won golds with Canada multiple times.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up. I was going to see if he was in the triple gold club, which I think he definitely has a chance. I couldn't find it on Hockey Reference, but
I think he is. I think he is. Jason Spezza, another person who won a lot of international stuff, and um, depending like me and Noah were a little too young to witness Jason Spezza's dominance, but in the late 2000s, early 2010s with the Ottawa Senators, he was one of the best players in the NHL. Um, Goal scoring machine. I think Jason Spezza gets in, even though he never won a Stanley Cup.
um, Ryan Getzlaf is not part of the triple
Really,
gold
which one
club.
did he not?
I believe it is World Junior.
He didn't win the juniors. He definitely
Don't
won
believe so.
Olympic gold.
Yeah, he did. He was on that. He was on the Sochi team, and I think he was even on the Vancouver team.
I think he was on Vancouver as well. What do you think about
Um,
Spets? I don't think he's a guaranteed, but I think he will
I
slip
think
in.
I think the ring would be the only reason he doesn't get in. I think he's done everything else.
Yeah.
I think he's not a first ballot, but I think he gets in.
Yeah. And I mean he did make the cup finals against Ryan Getzlaf and the Ducks. Just couldn't pull
Um,
it.
I'll name you off the current players who are in the triple gold club just before we get to this last player. We have Valtteri Filppula, who just did it this year, winning the World Championship with Finland. We have Pavel Datsuk, who did it, who won Olympic gold in 2018 with the Russians whenever he was not in the NHL and there was no NHL players. He won it, the World Championship in 2012, and obviously he won the Cup twice with the Red Wings. We have Corey Perry. We have Sidney Crosby. We have Patrice Bergeron, Jonathan Taves, Eric Stahl, and the ageless wonder Yarmer Yager.
Speaking of trophies being named after them, I can see the Selkie being named the Bergeron.
Oh, definitely up. Yeah, up there. It's definitely up there. And my final player, Nicholas Backstrom.
Damn. He's a really tricky one. I gave two yeses and nos for NBA, so I think I'll do the same for NHL. I'm gonna say no. Obviously we haven't seen his full career, but at this point, I mean, he did win a Stanley Cup. Um, the thing he's really known for is his passes. Obviously, I think I hope people don't take it away from him, but I could see dumb people of the internet saying, "Well, he was passing to Ovechkin, so of course he's going to get all these assists." Um, But I think if he gets in, it's sort of like a Kyle Lowry situation. He's a fringe guy. If he gets in, I wouldn't be disappointed. But it's so hard to get in, and I don't know if he has won much internationally. So I'm gonna say
I
no.
don't believe so.
It's hard. It's hard to win it internationally when you're not from Canada or America.
What are the odds of that?
I'm
Okay,
gonna
and we
say.
will finally move to
What do you
the
say?
NFL.
What do
Wait,
you
what?
say?
Oh, my. Oh, yeah. I don't think he gets it. Sorry.
No. Okay.
No, no, unfortunately.
He's from
Um.
Washington. That's why.
So yeah, I can't kind of like him. So now we go into some NFL. My first player is AJ Green.
Yeah, I think he has to. I am bad with my NFL history. I've only started watching like 4 years ago. I know who AJ Green is. I know he was an amazing wide receiver. I don't know if he ever won a championship.
He has not.
He has not, but I know he put up some crazy yardage years. And he's just it's longevity. Longevity's on his side as well. He's been playing forever. He's like what 30
33.
something, and he's still playing at a pretty good level. Like he was pretty good for Arizona last year. I think he still with Arizona?
I believe he's there for this year.
Yeah, and I mean he was still good last year. He was definitely usable. I think longevity and like yards, like total yards and stuff like that will get him in.
Definitely. I think he's gonna get in. Um, just the fact about AJ Green, he had 6 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons with the Browns, or not the
Yeah.
Browns, the Bengals.
Not
Um,
bad.
my second player is Devonte Adams. Little soft spot for you, but
This ain't even me being a Packers fan. I think he by the end of his career will be a no doubter. Um, I don't think he'll ever win a ring, as much as that hurts. But sort of in the AJ Green situation, the amount of yards and touchdowns, especially touchdowns, like he puts up a lot of touchdowns. And I think what helped him is he was the only wide receiver in Green Bay. So, like I said, the stats are there. So I don't think he'll ever win one, but I think he will get in for the same sort of things we can say about AJ Green.
to end it off, I just realized that I have 3 wide receivers in this. I figured um quarterbacks are more likely to make it over any other players, but I have Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. Damn. Okay. I think. Tell me what you think about Devontae Adams.
I think I think at the end of his career, Devontae Adams will make it. He's in my eyes, he's the best receiver in football right now. He's just so dominant. His route running, his spec catch, his run after catch is just above anybody else's possibly in the league all around. Um, he was freakish with Aaron Rodgers. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep that up with Derek Carr. So I have no doubt that by the end of his career, he will be a Hall of Famer.
Keenan Allen. I think this is the one sport I will say all three will make it. If I'm going to say who's least to make it, I will say Keenan Allen. Um, but I mean, he's you retire a lot quicker in football. He's only 29. He's put 5 1,000 year seasons in his career, and for the next 3 seasons, he's going to be playing with Justin Herbert. Like me and Noah said in previous podcasts, we think Justin Herbert has a really good chance at winning MVP. And if Herbert's winning MVP, someone's got to catch those balls and get those touchdowns, and it's going to be Keenan Allen. So I think he will get in there. Um, and if he can win a championship with the Chargers, then that'll definitely help. I think we're talking about 3 wide receivers here who will never win a championship. We'll see.
It's definitely possible, and I'm actually going to go against you, and I do not believe that Keenan Allen will make it. I don't think he was sort of as dominant of a receiver that Devontae Adams is or AJ Green was. Um, and it also will go on the fact of how the Chargers will play, like how the Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen situation will pan out these next 3 years. Because Keenan Allen's 28, 29. He's probably got 2 more seasons of elite football in him before he starts to decline. So I think that the Chargers have to take advantage of that right now.
Yeah, I think basically you and me both said it. I think if he's going to make the Hall of Fame, these next 2-3 years are going to be the reason why. So we'll see what he can do. Hopefully he does good, because that means that'll be good for me and Noah, because Noah's got Justin Herbert in fantasy and I got Keenan Allen. So let's hope we
Yep,
connect.
it would be very nice.
uh, I think that'll wrap it up.
Yeah, you don't want to do that thing.
No, I think we'll save the trivia and maybe the couple for next weekend. Next week, like Noah said, we got the two interviews for episode 50 and also for episode 50. I created a 10-question trivia about our podcast as a whole so far. So I think it'll be very interesting.
Very exciting. We look forward to next week. We hope you guys do. As always, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to never miss a new episode of Valley Sports Talk. Check out our TikTok. We don't post very often, but when we do, it's freaking hilarious. You got
We
Brandon
gotta get
singing.
on that.
You got Brandon singing "Go Little Rockstar" to Aaron Rodgers. So go check it out. Link's always in the description, and we will see you next week.
See ya.